All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's Behind the Bar segment. I am Marcus, aka Dashius Clay,
I'm Myreah, Eley.
and today's segment will be about my 16 project entitled Protect and Serve, where it's a deep dive in police brutality specifically and all of the factors that really affect it and make it continuously grow the way that it's left, unaddressed. It's not spoken about, at least not in depth. And, there's a conversation that really needs to be had. So, I start regarding the news because, that's where we get our information, either the internet or the news. And, the news is on the internet as well. And it's so much stuff that gets reported on the news, and yet it's not enough to shed light on the bigger picture. We had several incidents in the past. How many years you think? Just three, really. Just three. Like we can go back to.
Major. But it's been happening.
Yeah, it's been happening, but it spiked.
It did appear to spike. Yeah.
It spiked, and that's why in the verse, I reference my mind spinning. It's a lot to go through. It's a lot of brain picking. It's a lot of questions to be answered. It's a lot of questions to be answered, and no one really has the answers.
Right.
Not even law enforcement. Exactly. And we go straight from the mind spinning like choppers on a helicopter to who's supposed to protect and serve. Because that's the phrase that is on the front of most police buildings, to protect and serve. And when it comes to police brutality, who's to police the police? Who's to police the police when the people that they're supposed to protect and serve, they're actually becoming a threat to? Mm-hmm. If someone can be sitting in their car with their wife and their daughter and be absolutely of no threat and die at the hands of police because you feared for your life, I think that's a little crazy. Yeah. Especially that they're willing to do that in front of a 4-year-old. And if you don't know what I'm referencing, that was what Philando Castile, where he was killed in front of his daughter. His daughter has to live with that image for the rest of her life because she was old enough to know. Specifically because she was old enough to tell her mom, "I'm here. Don't cry. I'm here." And I go from to protect and serve to saying that lessons learned from bigots become a reality. And lessons is, I think, a key point because racism is not something you're born with. It's definitely something that's taught. That's why, it's kids right now who exhibit racism because they have parents who had parents from a certain era, and they continued the cycle.
Yeah, that reminds me of the movie 42 about Jackie Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
If you've seen the movie, then you actually see in the stands the little boy is so excited to go see Jackie and whoever else play, but his parents, whom are white, are screaming, "Get out of here, nigger! Get out of here, nigger! Go! You don't belong here, nigger!" And the little boy is like, he's scared, but then when he realizes that his parent is still yelling it out, he begins to actually start. He couldn't have been older than 10. And he's just like, "Okay, get out there. You don't belong here." He's just imitating his parents. He has no idea what it means. He has no idea why Jackie Robinson was considered a nigger. He couldn't have known anything other than my parents are yelling this out, so I'm going to yell it too.
Okay, and there's absolutely no baby born with hate in their heart. It's not something that happens, and that brings it to where it's in the reality painted in a gallery for the world to view. everybody gets to see it because it's on the news. You know, it's something that's perpetuated, and you know, we're in a time where I feel white supremacists feel like this is their moment to come out and, you know, get their tiki torches and you know and go crazy. But it's really, really, really crazy how open they are with it.
Right. I want to touch on that because, you know, we're actually in North Carolina, and on Highway 95, there's this extremely tall Confederate flag just in the middle of nowhere. Highway 95, right?
Yeah.
Highway 95, if you're traveling... 70? 70. Okay, 70. If you're traveling anywhere, probably between eastern North Carolina and the Fayetteville, Raleigh area.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere where you have to, you know, leave eastern North Carolina to get on like 95.
Right, to head south from
95 south.
Right, if you're heading south from eastern North Carolina, you will see tall Confederate flag just there. Ain't been there for about a year or two now.
I think like 3 actually.
3 years. And it's just there. No one's gonna take it down. Honestly, the person either knows people, or they bought the entire lot just so they can put that Confederate flag up. And you know, you have some true hatred if you're willing to spend some good money on hating a person.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I go from there in a verse where I say I'm trying to shed light on what the world pursues. Now, when I say the world, I mean, you know, the world that we live in, you know, outside of spirituality. You know, the world itself, you know, just be honest, is wicked. And I feel, and this may be a conspiracy theory or whatever you want to call it, but I feel, you know, all of these things aired on the news kind of paint a picture. It's like it's sending a message to you know, a specific side of the spectrum. You know, specifically the one that looks like ours. And because if you look at all of these stories of the, you know, missing persons where they're going above and beyond to find them, they've been white. But then when we talk about black people in the news, over the last few years, the majority of it has been, you know, death, killing, police brutality. So I feel like that's the light that they're trying to set it in. You know, even down to, and this is something we're going to touch on in the next segment, but I'm only going to get into it a little bit on this one. But even down to when, you know, you have a white mass murderer in the news, you know, they have all these interviews of their families. He was such a good guy and all of that. But then when Trayvon Martin got killed, you know, they pulled up every piece of his record that was negative that they could find.
They're doing that with Kobe Bryant now.
Yep.
And he wasn't even a criminal.
Yeah. He was acquitted, and they're asking questions about his rape.
That has nothing to do with that helicopter crash.
Yeah, nothing. And then they try to, you know, flip it by saying, "Oh, you're shaming the victim." No. No. Because the victim ain't talking about it.
If anybody's shaming the victim, it would be the jury.
Right, because they didn't have to. If the victim felt, you know, offended in any way, she had to live through this. You didn't. So you don't know what she's going through when you're making her relive whatever moment happened between them.
Why are you bringing it up? It's over. And, you know, honestly, even if it did happen, my point is, because if it did happen, then he should have paid for that. That is completely true. He should pay for things that he's done. However, it doesn't take away from his legacy.
Yeah, because that has nothing to do with basketball. But
right. It didn't change how great of a basketball player he was.
Doesn't change how he was as a father, as a parent, as a husband. Well, maybe a husband. But
if it's true.
But even if it was true, that was years and years and years ago. I'm a person that believes firmly in change. Now, that goes directly into false narratives created and distractions hitting the surface when ignorance gets debated. False narratives, I don't think I need to expound on what that is. You know, they're creating just like with Kobe, they're creating a narrative to replace his legacy. You know, his legacy is what it is. You know, they're trying to take that charge that was acquitted and place his death around that, as opposed to letting people celebrate his legacy and what he accomplished. Now, and then when things like that happen, you know, black people get outraged and start getting angry, and they kind of start arguing with the surface stuff as opposed to diving deeper, you know, and that's the distraction,
right?
You know, because every time something serious happens, it's like something crazy happens to make people forget the serious matter, and they just start going back and forth online and trolling about, you know, the ignorant stuff that happens.
The trolls just magically just increase.
Look at people.
10,000%.
Look at people. As long as you are alive, ignorance is going to be here. Ignorance is going to be here, and there's no way you can address all of it. It's not going to change. So spend your time addressing something that can change, something that actually needs to be changed. Ignorant people are going to be ignorant people, you know, and what is going to change ignorant people is seeing people not be ignorant people. Pretty much. And
they want us to continue to war with each other. They want us to remain in our shell and remain ignorant to the matters, so that we won't see the real culprit and turn against the real culprit. So that if they just pin us against each other, they never have to face us and explain the truth to us. And us being Americans, not blacks, not whites, all Americans.
And from there, we go straight to, you know, all of the different methods that I think people use to suppress the oppression. Like, we waited and got no answers. It speaks directly to, I remember when Dave Chappelle was on SNL, and he said, you know, yeah, Trump's in office. That's what we have on the table. That's what we're working with. Well, let's wait and see, you know, what he has to offer. We waited, and I think that's pretty clear what we got. You know, deflated all of our chances. Now, I don't say that literally, because I don't think chances never really run out, especially in something as serious as this. But every chance that we've gotten to really address it has fallen by the wayside next to ignorance. Like, it's like clockwork. It's like clockwork, and that directly speaks into sitting back and relaxing, outraging, and then forgetting. It's so typical. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? We get angry for like a week, and then the Super Bowl come on.
Because the news, they're just gonna keep. The news, they're just gonna keep. We're just gonna keep.
Because trust,
more and more
they have a lot of stuff to air.
More and more distractions from the real matter. I do want to say, I'm not going to say all blacks.
No.
But probably poor people too, or people below the poverty line, which can be black or white or any race, are
specifically the oppressed,
are not voting. And as the oppressed, you are the main ones that should get yourself out there to vote, because, I mean, if there is any power to be had, power is in voting.
Yeah, and
that is one thing you could say you have power over. And the thing is, though, there's two dynamics to that, because they're arresting us, killing us, so that there is no one there to vote. We're a felon, so we cannot vote. Things like that, that's keeping certain people from also getting out there.
And on a whole nother note, because, you know, people put so much stake in voting for the president of the United States, I think it's more important voting at the local level, because those people at the local level have the ability to bring change that you can feel. Like, if something happens in the presidency, you might not feel it directly at home, but at the local level, if you're living in Fayetteville, those political officials in Fayetteville are the ones that shape your experience in Fayetteville, in South Carolina, and wherever, you know, because they make the changes that every person in that city or in that state, you know, is going to have to either abide by or deal with, you know, however you take it. You know, and that kind of walks right into the next part where wars on society shown as being political. It's a lot of different examples of this. You know, for example, shall I go into the experiment?
Experiment. Mm-hmm.
This is I'm a known conspiracy theorist. I'm not, crazy with it like some people, but I do believe certain things that other people I feel in the United States just don't know or don't acknowledge actually happened. And that was a syphilis experience. It was I don't remember the year. It was in the 80s, I believe. And good. But pretty much what they did was they got a group of black people. Brace yourselves, people. It's really sick. Because the Tuskegee study, when I first read about this, I was sickened. Let me see when this study was. 1932.
Tuskegee study.
The Tuskegee study.
Tuskegee.
And it involved 600 black men, 399 with syphilis, 201 who did not have the disease. The study was conducted without benefit at all to the patients. They didn't get any type of informed consent, so they were just doing this on their own whim. The people who were being tested had no idea. They told the men they were being treated for bad blood, whatever that means.
They were being given bad blood, or the result.
And a local term used to describe several ailments, including syphilis, anemia, and fatigue. In truth, they did not receive the proper treatment needed to cure the illness. In exchange for taking part in the study, the men received free medical exams, free meals, and get this, burial insurance. Burial insurance. So that means they kind of knew the outcome of this. If you have free burial insurance, that means somebody's going to die.
I mean, I can just imagine being one of those guys with syphilis, especially at that time, because now we know that syphilis is, treatable.
Yeah.
At least so.
This is the even crazier part, though. The project was supposed to last 6 months, and it lasted for 40 years. What? Like, it was still going on in 1972.
And they were pretty much robbed of their lives. We don't know if they had family, kids. They were robbed of their lives. And pretty much they were offered a free meal and medical care that I need because of you, by the way. But
mind you, in those 40 years that experiment was being conducted, a cure for syphilis was created in that time frame, and they were not given it. And like I said, that was a direct attack on those black men who were a part of society, painted as an experiment by politicians to treat bad blood,
right,
which ended in several of those men died. And the story, I don't know how true this is, but there's men still living from that experiment that still have syphilis now.
Right, and there's a law actually for scientists that they have to be backed by someone credible in order to even do experiments and studies.
And that wasn't in place then. Which goes into they're liars. They're liars. All the way down to, the crack epidemic in Eley, down to I think the way that voting works, because truthfully speaking, how much say do we really have, I wonder, in the voting process as far as the the United States president. Let's not forget those Florida ballots that magically disappeared, and when Bush was running for office. Yeah. So that leads to the question: who's pulling the strings?
Yeah.
Who's really making decisions? Because politicians are politicians. The White House is the White House. The president is the president. But you can't help but wonder: is there an entity above them that's really calling shots? You have to wonder that. I personally feel like it is. I don't want to be the person to prove it because I feel like it'd be more than I can handle in my brain. And then it kind of goes, I go to a even bigger question: who created religion? Now, when you're talking about all of these other things, and then you go into who created religion, it kind of sounds off topic, but not really, because I asked the question who created religion is because I feel religion brings division, separates people. Exactly. It gives you all these guidelines and rules that tell you can't do this, and then when someone of another belief does what your belief believes you can't do, there we go, a conflict. You have people, that's one of those things that people won't even talk about in public, religion, because it's like almost inevitable that when you're talking about religion, somebody's going to get offended.
Yeah. And even in Christianity, which isn't supposed to be a religion.
I don't consider it a religion.
Christianity is a way of life.
Right.
And even within that, we have denominations, Baptist and Pentecostal.
Right. That's religion.
Seventh Day.
That's religion.
Adventists and all these different things.
That's religion.
When really
Christianity is Christianity.
Have the same beliefs. And the Bible is the only guideline needed. So although churches may have specific laws and bylaws and guidelines, it is completely irrelevant if it's not actually in the Bible itself.
Yep. Doesn't even matter.
Now, obviously, you want to respect the rules of your church.
Right.
Obviously, because then that would be a sin in itself. However, what I'm saying is that the thing is, it does cause division. Like, I've been to several churches in my life. My father was a pastor, an apostle. And I went to a church where the ladies could not wear pants. We only could wear dresses and skirts and things like that. And when I was younger, see, now I'm like dresses all the time. But when I was younger, I mean, pants is all I wanted to wear. And so you're telling me I can't even put on a nice pantsuit and go to your church. You're not going to let me into your church without me wearing some type of dress or skirt. And that's not the way
that's
Jesus operates. And that's the thing. That is religion.
Right.
Things like that.
Religion is man-made. Religion is man-made, for sure.
Christianity is definitely different. Now, obviously, we have people who are pushing Christianity in a different direction than what God would inform you to do. However, things like that, laws like that, that is not Christianity. That is religion. And that person just so happens to be a Christian, but they're wrong. So the thing is, you just have to really, and this is why you have to get the word for yourself. You cannot listen to anybody else, but go read yourself. Now, obviously, you need to go to church. You should listen to the word, watch some pastors on TV, pray. But you have to pray and you have to read it for yourself and ask for understanding, wisdom, knowledge, and ask God to allow you to interpret exactly what he wants you to interpret. Because if not, you could be taking in the wrong information and not know. So it's very important that you get the word for yourself so there won't be any confusion. Because religion, like we said, is definitely man-made.
Right. And I'll leave there to go into Black Lives Matter, mistaking it as division. You're doing a protest to my protest. Like
yeah, and the thing is, white people do have privilege. You can't deny that. And so you have your privilege, and so black people are allowed to have what they have. They're safe haven. And so if black people are out and they're saying, hey, Black Lives Matter, it doesn't mean that they're saying, well, Black Lives Matter and whites don't.
Yeah, we're speaking in a specific scenario.
Right. And when they say it, we mean Black Lives Matter too. It doesn't mean, oh, only Black Lives Matter, because that's not what it says. It doesn't say only Black Lives Matter.
You know, because
that's what whites are saying.
We said it in the last video where a black man sitting in his car with his 4-year-old daughter, he had to die. He was a threat to the police officer. When a white man walking inside the church in Charleston, South Carolina, killing 9 people, was arrested safely.
Y'all weren't afraid
to his
of him?
car. So, you know.
How can you be afraid of Philando, but not afraid
of Dylan Roof? And this whole segment, this whole 16 Project My Verse and everything is just me trying to cut the tension. Me trying to cut the tension, because at the root of it all, in order to fix it, to make it better, important people need to have conversations with unimportant people. You know, the people up here need to have conversations with the people down here.
Right. And you are important, just not apparently not important to them.
Right.
Up higher.
Right. You know, people that don't feel like are worth the time having a conversation with. That's why I'll end with, it's hard to make a decision. It's hard because it's a play on words, trying to cut the tension, but it's hard to make a decision.
Right.
And that will be a cut. So it's hard for these people. It's hard to get these people up here, whoever they are.
And that's why politicians need to visit their community. It shouldn't be their little minions. It should be them knocking on my front door to say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do in your community. I want to tell you a little bit more. And I understand they're busy, but make an effort. Because I have had a woman, we were living in South Carolina at that time, and she knocked on my door. She said, hey, I'm running for city council, and she just gave me a bunch of information. I didn't vote for her.
Which place was that?
The last season.
Okay, so, and honestly, she came there. That's cool, but I can't even really count that, because people are, you got politicians making laws in, places that the world would consider the hood, and they ain't never been there. So how can you make a law for somewhere you ain't never experienced?
I never lived there. You talking about living there? Yeah,
living.
Right.
Living. You can't go to the projects for 2 days and say you experienced it.
Granted, we weren't in the projects.
No. I'm not. That's why I'm saying I can't count her coming to our house. We weren't in the project.
Right.
So she not going to nowhere tough or rough. She wasn't going to.
Yeah, she did come to a nice neighborhood. and so now that makes me wonder, did she go to the hood areas? Because that's a good point.
No,
she
didn't.
Because we were in like a predominantly white
we were.
area.
We
was like
in the area,
middle class though.
We were in the area where black people were happy to see black people. That's just being honest. And you can't.
It was like one down the street.
You can't talk like. That's why I hate when I see black people who didn't live a rough life try to, make it cool to say they lived a rough life. No, it's not cool.
Just making fun of people's culture,
not cool.
people's reality.
It's not cool. Listen, I grew up on welfare. It's not that great. It's not that great. The projects is not all it's cracked up to be. Don't nobody want to wake up in the morning to gunshots.
Yes.
Don't nobody want to wake up to, people who are junkies begging for money on a regular basis.
You don't want to worry about a bullet coming through your window and hitting one of your kids.
Now, granted, the projects that I grew up in weren't that crazy, but they were crazy nonetheless.
North Carolina. Yeah. What about other states?
Yeah, of course. So it's like pop culture. It's like pop culture. I feel everything black is appropriated, down to hip hop music, down to fashion, down to filming techniques, down to even Black Panther. Because I was in the comments when I was little, and nobody cared about Black Panther. But, now that, black is the wave, so, that's...
Black is like some type of cool thing to be. But I don't think that you have to be black or have grown up in the hood to be hood or to be tough or whatever you want to call it. Your integrity is in here, and it was placed in you when you were born, and it does grow with you in childhood and in adulthood. But you can be whoever you want to be regardless of skin tone and your upbringing. It's because it's all up to you now. Once you're an adult or at the age of understanding, what happens from there is up to you. If you was abused, anything that happened to you as a child, it happened to you as a child. It might be the reason why you are the way that you are now. However, you're at the age of understanding, so now it's up to you. It's all up to you to change, do something better, be better.
Yep. So in conclusion, people, vote for your politicians at the local levels, but don't vote blindly.
Research.
People also, if you grow up in a nice neighborhood,
thank the Lord Jesus Christ himself.
thank the Lord that you don't have to know what government cheese is.
Oh, God.
But so on that note, we'll end this and be blessed, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Again.
And always remember, you ain't speaking from your heart, don't speak at all.
Exactly. And again, if there was a little confusion about what we were discussing today, his 16th project bars was entitled Protect and Service on our YouTube channel. So you can check it out and then you can compare the lyrics to what we discussed today. I'm Myreah Eley.
And I am Dashius Clay.
And we're spiritual lyricists, artists and owners of Eley Enforcement Entertainment. For more information, go to Eley, E-L-E-Y, Entertainment. I said that so wrong. Eley, E-L-E-Y, Enforcement, E-N-T.life. Thank you for viewing. Bye-bye.
Deuces to the sky.